If you work nights, wandering at night, driving empty streets, there are things you should learn to ignore. Headlights that vanish, doorways that stare back, little noises that your mind files under old house settling. I'd learned that. I thought I'd seen everything. I was wrong. It was the kind of night that makes time slow down. I was on my way to what should have been an easy drop-off. 4 large pies, a 20-minute drive through dirt roads and pines. The order looked like a party. Big order, cash tip likely. I told myself that the extra miles would be worth it. I won't lie. Those dirt roads were a pain. Narrow, potholed, the kind that felt like they led nowhere important, nowhere safe. The GPS led me to a clearing where the road stopped, and there it was. An old building, squat and black against the trees. No cars, no porch light, no address numbers in the mud. Just that squat shadow, as if someone had dropped a house and forgotten to turn on the lights. I called my manager. I asked him to read the address again, 3 times. He was annoyed, tired. He told me to at least knock. "You don't bring those back," he warned. He said it like a threat, like I knew exactly what would happen if I drove back with hot pizza. So I knocked. 3 soft knocks first, then harder when nothing answered. The silence had weight. Then, somewhere deep in the building, a rustling. Not footsteps, not a voice, like fabric being dragged over something. I felt my chest tighten. "Pizza," I said, louder than I planned. No answer. I saw them then. At one of the grimy square windows, eyes. Just eyes, wide and fixed. Not a face, not even a shape. Just 2 holes shining and staring, like someone had wired a lamp to a person. They stared so intently, I felt my arms go heavy. The pizzas slipped from my grasp and hit the porch in a soft hot flop. Instinct took over. I ran. My car didn't thank me for it. The key turned, the engine coughed, nothing. Twice. A 3rd time, it finally gave a tired roar. I tore down that dirt track like a man trying to outrun his own shadow. But the car didn't want to leave. A scraping, like metal on rough stone, came from outside. I braked. The car shuddered and settled. I stepped out. All 4 tires were shredded, slices clean along the rubber. Whoever did it had done it quickly, silent as a fox. Panic crawled up my spine. I locked the doors, called 911, and tried to breathe through hands that wouldn't stop shaking. The operator told me to stay on the line, to keep the doors locked. She promised police were on their way. But I didn't stay locked inside for long. I told myself I was being ridiculous, that there had to be a rational explanation. Hunters, kids with knives, some sick prank. I scanned the trees, the building, the windows. The forest breathed around me. And then, I saw her. At first, I thought it was just a reflection. In the rearview mirror, a face, not any ordinary face. Those same enormous eyes. A woman's outline, pale and thin. A smile crawling across her mouth. Slow and crooked, like someone stretching leather. I slammed the door open and ran. The trees swallowed me. My breath burned my lungs. My legs pumped until they burned. I dove under a fallen log and lay there, lungs heaving, listening to my own blood and the night. Minutes dripped into hours. Then, distant and faint, sirens. When the police arrived, everything looked almost normal. 2 officers with flashlights and an almost embarrassed sort of efficiency. But I was a mess, shaking, hysterical, nearly vomiting. They went to the building, rifles low, lights cutting into corners. They came out with gloves, a couple of rusted, spiky metal tools, the exact implements used to slash my tires. They told me what the only sensible story could be. Maybe a demented couple. Maybe people who camped out and liked to terrorize strangers. They said they'd search the area and file a report. They smiled small and told me I did the right thing calling them. But they didn't find anyone. No footprints beyond the muddy perimeter. No footprints that matched anyone coming from the trees. No car tracks. No sign of that woman with the huge candlelit eyes. The tools, found in an upstairs closet, piled neatly as though someone had washed them before putting them away. I quit that night. The manager called me crazy. My coworkers joked about the pizza ghost. But I can still see her when I close my eyes. Those eyes in the mirror, the slow smile. Sometimes at night I dream I'm back on that dirt road, the engine stalling, the crunch of my boot in the mud. In the dream, the mirror fogs and there's a hand on my shoulder. If you ever get a strange delivery, if a house looks wrong and the windows feel like they're watching, don't knock, don't stop, drive away slow, and don't look back. I didn't follow that advice. I still replay that night in my mind, frame by frame, haunted by the question of who or what was really inside that building, and if they were ever truly human. When I share the first part of this story, people often respond in 3 ways. You should have locked the door, call the police, and that's impossible. They say impossible as if it negates everything that happened. But the truth is, I remember every detail, every shard of that night, sharp as glass beneath my nails. I'm 27. I live alone in a small house in Virginia, just 2 blocks from my parents. My mother, she's always been a bit overcaring. In recent years, her memory has begun to fray. She forgets the little things. She forgets to lock the doors. She forgets that she's already done something twice. We even put a key under a plant pot for her. We stopped telling her not to visit. She's harmless, loving, confusing. One Saturday, it was late, around 2 a.m, I stumbled home, a little drunk from the club. The door was unlocked. On the counter, there was a note on the counter in my mother's handwriting. You forgot this at our house, next to a half-eaten piece of cake. I smiled. She'd come to clean like she sometimes did and left to sleep in the guest room until I got back. I thought that was sweet, but then I heard footsteps upstairs. My stomach dropped. My phone rang. My dad. I answered, voice slurred, told him what I heard. She's sleeping next to me, he said. Silence took the line. I was already moving. The kitchen light cast a thin yellow ladder up the stairwell. At the top, just past the shadow where the hallway opened, something leaned into view. The outline of a head, pale against the dark, peering, still. I don't remember thinking. I remember moving like a cartoon, fumbling for my keys, and running down the street to my parents' house. My dad hung up to call the police. We walked back together and 2 patrol cars joined us. Inside, they searched the dark corners of the house, the attic, the creepy crawl space, the empty closets. They found nothing. Every door had a lock. Every room was empty. They chalked it up to pranksters. Maybe. But that outline I had seen at the stairs always sits there in my throat, like a question, lingering, unresolved. Months later, I was writing a paper in my room when I heard my mom call my name from downstairs. I called back, feeling a twinge of irritation. She didn't answer in her usual way. The voice came back, but it echoed from the basement. I approached the door, called down, and she called back again. The exact same inflection every time. No variation, like a recording. Chilling. I turned on the basement light. The flicker cast long, twitching shadows that danced along the walls. The little crawl space door, it was open. Just a tight, square opening, inviting yet menacing. My heart, it lurched in my ribs. I knelt down, peering into the abyss. Black. Nothingness. I called out, "Mom?" Silence enveloped me. I closed the door and bolted it shut, feeling that gnawing dread. I called her, and her voice came through, live, confused. She was at the grocery store. We searched. My dad ventured inside that creepy crawl space. He assured me there was no one there, no sign of anyone. He suggested maybe it was just an echo, the house playing tricks. I wanted to believe him, but the sound of my mom calling from upstairs, or the basement, it still echoes sometimes when I open my mouth to speak. And then there was that summer night, walking home a little tipsy, when a friend pointed at a bush. There was someone lurking in it. We approached and a noise erupted from that bush. There was someone in it. We got close and then a noise came from the bush. The same awful, scrapey noise I'd later hear at the foot of my bed. That night we laughed it off because there was safety in numbers. But safety has a way of evaporating. A week later, I woke in a twilight of panic. I couldn't move. Sleep paralysis, I knew the term, had read about it. But what I saw was more than the usual pressure on my chest. At the foot of my bed hovered a thing, like a head without a body, mouth open in a way that made no sense. It made the same noise we heard at the bush, a wet, tearing animal sound. The body that belonged to the head blended into the darkness, its edges seeped into the black like ink. It drifted closer. I could feel breath on my face, though I could not move. Then, as suddenly as it came, it collapsed away into air. The lamp's click echoed loud in the small room. Nothing else was there. I told my parents. They said sleep paralysis, an explanation, but not a comfort. My mother had never heard of someone seeing such a thing, and my father, practical and tired, suggested therapy, less alcohol, better sleep. Reasonable answers, anchored in daylight. But reason doesn't hold up when you stand in the kitchen at night and hear your name called from silence. It doesn't help when the voice on the line matches the cadence of your mother so perfectly it makes your stomach drop. It doesn't answer the little things, the mud print that doesn't match any shoe, the scratch on the banister you didn't have before, the feeling at 3 a.m. that someone is watching the hallway from the dark. I'm not telling you ghost stories for chills. I'm telling you because these evenings reshaped my life. I started sleeping with the lights on. I started checking the locks twice. My parents, they stopped coming over alone. We bought new deadbolts, you know? But still, sometimes I wake up and freeze because I hear a sound that is just too much like my mother's voice, calling my name from nowhere. If there's anything I've learned, it's this. Sometimes the scariest thing isn't an intruder with teeth or an old cabin in a storm. No, sometimes it's the copy of the sound you trust most, that imitation so precise it could trick your heart into believing you're safe. And when the thing that calls your name knows how your mother says it, who are you supposed to run to?